What would happen if extreme right-wing politicians would get their way and force their agenda on the whole of America? What would that mean for the country, and what would it mean for its children? Well, the movie American Carnage tries to figure out at least one of these issues and gives us an idea how that future would look like. If you want to know more about this, then join me for this review video. America as we know it today. A land that welcomes immigrants as long as they are documented. For a whole generation of kids who were born in the US, to parents that were undocumented, kids who are called dreamers, all opportunities are available and no one can make them leave. That was until one governor had the heinous idea of dropping a blanket charge at all of them because they weren't reporting their own parents.
Zero tolerance.
Which is now considered a crime. Due to this mean trick, most dreamers now find themselves in a detention camp. And their only choice is either being deported to a country they never were born into, or to have their charges dropped if they agree to volunteer to work in an elderly home. Which didn't appear at first to make much sense, but also it didn't seem to pose any threat to the dreamers. So a lot of them are accepting this offer. The promise, once they have served their rotation, all charges will be dropped and they are free to go and live their life as before again. The movie now follows 5 of these young adults as they are settling in to their new positions and trying to make the best of it. However, soon after, they start to notice weird things going on. And they notice that if someone of them is violating the rules, they will be gone forever, at least from this program, or so they are told, but they are unable to check on that. Also, the elderly population seem to act a little weird sometimes, and also some of them seem to vanish overnight, with no big explanation given. As our protagonists are starting to uncover what's going on, their lives are getting more and more into danger. With every step, they are getting closer to the truth. Here we have a genre pairing that is actually working quite well. We have a political satire at its core, at least when the main plot is concerned, that tries to highlight the dangers of politics. The scenario at play here seems to be a little bit far-fetched at first, but considering recent developments in American policies, make at least the main premise of this movie seem a little bit less unlikely. Unfortunately. The solution, and I'm not spoiling you here, no worries, is of course rooted a little bit deeper in the realm of the horror genre. So what happened there is very unlikely to happen in real life. Except for the political angle, this is pretty much a straightforward mainstream horror movie. Something that one is recently quite seldomly seeing on the big screen, at least at the Fantasy Film Fest. So it was a nice surprise, and though it is not high art, of course, it was surprisingly entertaining. The technical aspects of this movie were all very solid, and the acting is also mostly great. There is a little bit of overacting going on here and there, but this is apparently part of a mainstream horror movie and something you actually are anticipating.
Am I in here because I'm Latino or black? Or both?
So I think that might not even be bad acting, but is likely just a nod to its own genre. Some elements of the story, especially towards the end, are more on the satirical side and are so way over the top that in a usual horror movie they would seem out of place. While other storylines are quite predictable, and that is why I'm not going that much into them. Like I said before, the movie is quite entertaining and is for the most parts what you are expecting from a mainstream horror film. However, one thing that I was not that happy about is the fact that a lot of stuff that is going on there seems to be very much unexplainable at first, and though they are doing their very best to explain it away at the end of a movie, there is one thing they just could not explain. And what I'm talking about is this effect of bones crunching and the body is transforming and mutating and acting in a weird way that you already see at the end of a trailer. Something that the movie really did not properly explain, at least not in a way that is believable. For me it felt as if those scenes were just created for the sake of it, to have something to show off, especially in the trailer. Something that ultimately was unnecessary, and they would have been served better to just not do it and do some other effect instead. And with that being said, let's go to the rating. But before we do so, let me ask you to like and share this video if you enjoyed it so far. And if you are no subscriber yet, maybe consider to change that. By also hitting the notification bell, you will get a heads up for most of my new videos. Now for the rating. As you already heard, I liked this movie, so that means that it is at least above the 5-point score. But where will it land? To make it short, the movie was very entertaining and still had some room for improvement. It was not great yet, so I would say a 7 out of 10, making it a good movie, is a fair score here. If the storyline that I referred to would have been a little bit less predictable, and if we wouldn't have had those inexplicable body movements, then the movie could have even scored higher. But again, I think a 7 out of 10 is a very solid score. What about you? How do you like movies that are politically inspired, especially if it is a horror movie that deeply dives into a dystopian angle? Do you like those, or do you think politics should be kept out of movies? At least genre movies like this. Have you also seen the movie and do you agree with my rating? Or haven't you seen it yet, but now are interested in watching it? Whatever it is, let me know in the comments. So much for now, see you next time and thanks for watching.